Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema, and the following contains spoilers from SmackDown. So if you have not watched SmackDown, I would advise you come back to this video after you watch SmackDown, because we went from the Wyatt family killing everybody on Monday Night Raw to the latest chapter in the Bloodline storyline revealed in a shocking debut in Jacob Fatu. And let's talk about it. Because at the end of SmackDown, you will see here, like I said, this does contain spoilers, so if you've not watched it, I gave you fair warning. Now, the end of SmackDown, we saw Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes in the main event of SmackDown, and it wasn't for the title. I'm assuming that Money in the Bank, it will be Solo versus Cody Rhodes for the title, with probably Roman Reigns returning, I would imagine, and I'll get to Roman in a second. But during the match, of course, towards the end, when Cody was setting up Solo for the Crossroads, the Tongas got involved. Orton KO came out, and well, it was an even match, an even brawl until Cody, Randy, and Kevin Owens cornered Solo Sikoa, and then Solo started laughing. And suddenly, a mysterious new member of the Samoan dynasty appeared in Jacob Fatu. Now, if you go back to my WrestleMania predictions, way back in April, I predicted that Jacob Fatu was going to debut at WrestleMania and cost Cody and Seth the tag team match. But obviously, he did not, and we all kind of wondered when he would show up. And well, tonight we got our answer. And now it seems Raw and SmackDown both have their headline storylines for the summer in high gear. If you did not check out the latest, check out my last video on my theories on who the Wyatt family may target. You can check that out here. But today, let's talk about the Samoan dynasty and where this may lead. Now, as I said, the end of SmackDown, we saw Jacob Fatu take out Randy Orton, take out Kevin Owens, and then he took out Cody Rhodes with a splash through the announce table. And Solo, Tongas, and Jacob all raised their hand in salute of the Bloodline as SmackDown ended. So that's 4. Now, I think most fans have figured out that this is going to lead to another Bloodline Civil War, which leads me to what happened before that match between Cody and Solo, because Paul Heyman, again, was very adamant that, Solo was supposed to do what Roman wanted him to do. And, well, that takes us to the beginning of this show. CM Punk, he returned to his hometown, Chicago. He cut a promo on Drew McIntyre, and then was interrupted by Paul Heyman, who wanted his help. And apparently he wanted to take a car ride with CM Punk to leave the building because he was afraid of what Solo was going to do to him. And then Solo came out. They had a nice back and forth. And then Cody Rhodes came out and saved him, setting up the main event. But before the main event, in the back, Paul Heyman told Solo, hey, Roman said, all you have to do is keep Cody in check until he returns. And that CM Punk, because of Punk and Paul Heyman's past relationship, that according to Roman Reigns, Punk was untouchable, so to speak, as if Roman was giving Punk a pass because of his relationship with Paul Heyman. Well, Solo didn't really care for that because, as we've seen since WrestleMania, Solo does what Solo wants to do. And the thing that really was interesting here was that Paul Heyman said, you were only supposed to keep Cody in check until Roman came back. And then Solo said, I hate to tell you this, and I'm telling you this because I love you, but Roman's not coming back. Y'all, the next chapter of the Bloodline storyline is upon us. Jacob Fatu has arrived in WWE. I am going to be curious to see where this goes because I think most fans can see that this is going to lead to a War Games match. And to me, it's going to be interesting to see how what the teams are going to be. Because even though in our heads we can kind of see, even though we can see in fantasy book, okay, this, and this, the WWE has always found ways to keep the Bloodline storyline interesting at times when it felt like it was getting stale. And people have been wondering last couple of months, the fans have been chanting it. We want Roman. And they've been chanting it. And listen, I'll be dead honest. When I'm not sure which pop is going to be bigger, when Rhea Ripley's music hits and she makes her return, or Roman's music hits, because those pops are going to probably be on the equal level of Triple H's Madison Square Garden return from 2002. Now, obviously, we know Jimmy Uso got taken out by the Bloodline by this new Bloodline, or as CM Punk put it, a phony Bloodline, and we haven't seen Jimmy Uso since. Now, we did see Solo and the new Bloodline have a silent interaction with Jay back at Backlash. And the interesting look that Paul Heyman gave Jey Uso, as in, help. I need help. Because Heyman, and this is the genius of Paul Heyman, of how talented he is that he's been able to tell a story over these last few months of how dangerous Solo is. And I know fans are torn on Solo being the new head of the table, but you look at what Paul Heyman's expressions, and he's selling it perfectly to a T, where Heyman is legitimately scared. And I say that, I bring up the interaction with Jay because, again, remember the night at the SmackDown after Mania, they took out Jimmy. They had an interaction with Jay at Backlash. Now, the question is, when does Roman return? Now, I'm guessing it's going to be Cody and Solo for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank. And that after Cody beats Solo, where there's going to be some some DQ interference, that Roman's music is going to hit, and then Roman is going to do what many of Roman's opponents did to him, and he is going to return at the end of the show after a championship match, and Roman is going to either confront Cody, or we're going to kick it into high gear, and it's going to be setting up Roman and the Usos reuniting at Money in the Bank to take on this new Bloodline, or to set that up for Survivor Series. Now, the question I do have for all this is, again, I go back to the end of SmackDown. There's 4 participants. 4, right? War Games is usually 5. And if all the fans' theories are correct, Solo hasn't been talking to Roman Reigns. He's been lying about it. And that he hasn't been taking orders from the tribal chief. He's been taking orders from the final boss. Now, my theory with this is if The Rock and Cody are going to have their match at WrestleMania next year, that means Rock and Roman would be put off for another year. And I'll imagine they would want to do Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 42, which then would Rock and Roman have to still be buddy-buddy? Are they still going to be in on the Bloodline? Are they still going to be partners? Because you go back to the end of WrestleMania, after Cody beat Roman, Rock was not too happy with Roman Reigns. And that makes me wonder when Solo said that he's not coming back. Does that mean have they taken out Roman? Has The Rock gave orders to Solo to take Roman out? Or is he going to give them orders to take Roman out when Roman comes back? Because I feel like we're going to be kicking into high gear. This next chapter of the Bloodline. I know a lot of people say, hey, this Bloodline stuff is getting old, but let's be real. I think WWE has been able to find ways to make it interesting. They've added new twists and wrinkles to keep us intrigued and interesting, And to me, I wonder, is this going to lead to Roman returning at Money in the Bank? Is this going to lead to a War Games match? Obviously, you think Roman, Jimmy, Jay. But then you gotta think, if The Rock is involved, and he's revealed as the master behind this new Bloodline, that you obviously have The Rock would be the 5th member of the new Bloodline. So then, and if you have Roman and the Usos, would Kevin Owens? Will we revisit the Sami Zayn portion of the Bloodline? Would, call me crazy, but, Drew McIntyre, he beat up CM Punk tonight. He returned the favor from Clash at the Castle, where Drew beat the living hell out of CM Punk in his hometown of Chicago for screwing him over in Scotland. So, could CM Punk, considering that Paul Heyman did tell Solo that, hey, Punk is untouchable, and that's an order from Roman Reigns, could CM Punk be joining up with Roman along with the Usos? Could we see Cody teaming with Roman? Or could we see Sami Zayn coming back into the Bloodline storyline arc, or will it be Kevin Owens? Ladies and gentlemen, the Bloodline storyline has taken its next turn. It's the next chapter of the Bloodline storyline is here, and it's only going to ramp up from here. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Jacob Fatu's debut on SmackDown, and when do you think Roman Reigns will return? Will he show up at Money in the Bank? Will we see Roman and Cody? How will The Rock be involved? comment below. I've been your host, Money Mike, and you have been listening to Ringside Cinema. Hit that like and subscribe button today for more wrestling content as always, and I will be back with more wrestling content next week.
Ringside Cinema, living out the dream. Lights down, time to go. Cheers for heroes we know. Ringside forever bold. Wrestling never gets old.